I'm not exactly sure why, but I did not feel happy anymore. Honestly, I've been feeling that way for a while, but as of lately, it's intensified. I thought maybe it might be that I was just tired of Shell, or more specifically, tired of this whole fake family facade. Don't get me wrong, I love my son and the fact that we're in the same house together. It's just, I never intended on making his mother a permanent fixture in my life.
Well, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we're on chapter 6.
Hmm.
And in this chapter, Mark, who is Michelle's living boyfriend, baby father, baby daddy, he's at work and we get to hear his deep thoughts.
Hmm.
And we find out two things. We find out that he really isn't feeling this situation with Shell, he really doesn't want to be with her.
Hmm.
And that we find out the details of how they got together. So Shell was a young lady he met at a party, and he got with her because she seemed easy,
Hmm.
easy enough he knew he can get her. And so she was well aware that he was engaged. However, she still slept with him and got pregnant. So Mark, he's a guy he values fathers, being a father rather, and so he stepped up to the plate and he did the right thing. However, he never really intended on being with Shell,
Hmm.
but she has almost kind of like a lot of women do, because he's there, he's taking care of the kid. We usually seem to attach the thought that he must care for me because he's caring for our child when it's not
Hmm.
necessarily so. It could be that some men are like this because they were just raised like that. Maybe they saw that,
Hmm.
or he actually experienced not having a father around. And so
Hmm.
again, we sometimes can get it twisted, like he wants to be with me, he wants to be a part of my fairy tale almost.
Hmm.
And then we end up in situations like that where we're with a guy for a little while and then he doesn't want us.
Hmm.
And so Mark is pretty much letting us know in his mind in this chapter that he's kind of tired of the facade. He's tired of this little make believe family. Um, so now I want to ask you though, do you believe that a man should stay with a woman because he gets her pregnant?
No. I think he should, of course, be active in the child's life, and co parenting is massive. Now, can it happen where they're not together when the child's born and then they mature and then end up together? It would be beautiful. But I don't think it's mandatory. But I think co parenting and having that open communication and being upfront and honest has to like lay the groundwork, because if he's not happy, like Mark's not happy, and he's not communicating that, that can cause a lot of other issues. Like he's already irritated with her, and then he's going to be coming home irritated, and she's thinking it's something else, and it just can lead to a lot of other things. So um, I don't think a man has to. I think it's just depends on each relationship, um, but communication comes to that for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. I forcing relationships, especially being, in a long-term marriage and I was, trying to
Mhm.
fix it. It has to, you have to choose each other. And I think once we
Yeah.
understand that love is a choice and not
Yes.
mandatory, And a lot of times that kind of situation where women are trying to leverage kids to get the
Mhm.
man to stay with them is actually manipulation.
Yeah.
Because yeah, the essence of love is I choose you and not you try to force things on me.
And it's super unhealthy too. And you want a child to grow up in a functional home. So if it's forced, I feel like there'd be a lot of butting heads, whereas there can be that open communication. If they're separate, there can still be that open communication and there could be a better relationship between the two
Mhm.
parents rather than forcing each other to be together and they're already not happy together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially in a situation like this because they weren't
Yeah.
together. They slept together. It was like a not really a one night stand. It was a weeknight stand.
Correct.
And they end up pregnant. So they don't even know each other. You
Correct.
know,
And
they
he's just
really don't.
listening to mom.
Yeah. Now I don't agree that men should just. I mean, you make a mistake. You shouldn't be going around just having
Right.
babies and
Yeah.
saying, "Oh
Or
no, I want to
cheating.
be with you." Yeah. The pattern should
Mhm.
be broken. It should just
Correct.
be, should be one off, maybe
Mhm.
two, but not like a
Yeah,
pattern of this is what I do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Not
But now,
freely, just having fun and having babies.
yeah. And actually, and sometimes because we're in this generation where, or this day and age where you have men are blaming women and women are blaming men. And honestly, it is individual people.
Correct.
We walk over warning signs,
Mhm.
and both of us, men and women. And then
Mhm.
we're trying to blame a whole group of people when it's individually our issues. Well,
Yep.
individually our faults because we're not really picking people healthy in the
Absolutely.
healthy way rather. So um oh, I wanted to share this before I go to the next one. So
Sure.
I said that because there was this guy that I wasn't even talking to him. We were just conversating because I was there
Mhm.
for a different reason, and he started to like on me. And he had 5 kids by 5 different women. And he kind of irritated me because he said this. He said, well, if the problem with today is that women keep opening their legs, and so if they wouldn't have opened their legs, then they wouldn't be in the situation they're in. And I said, well, you're the common denominator. So,
Right. It takes people to make a kid.
but
Ah!
yeah, but just not even taking responsibility for his part in it
Mhm.
and blaming the women. Like it was something you said to her
Mhm.
that made her believe you were going to be with her. But oh my
Mhm.
God. So that's why I said it's an individual thing because all men aren't
Yeah.
like that. All men
Right.
don't think
Absolutely.
like that.
Absolutely.
But this one did. And so that was
I think that man needs some maturing to do and some growing up.
absolutely that's what I've walked away with. Um Now I want going back to Shell and Mark's situation on how they met. I do want to ask you, why do you think women like cuz she was very much aware that he was engaged.
Mhm.
What do you think goes through a woman's mind when she knows a man has a woman? And then he kind of tells her like I really care about her. And then this new woman is falling in love with him. What do you think is going through her mind?
Now, I've never been in that situation. I've been the individual cheated on, but I've never done that. But I feel like it's one, it comes back to either something she's gone through where she wants that attention, even if it's a married man or engaged man or something, attention, or the wants that he's not available, but yet he's still giving me the time of day. I think
Mhm.
that can be it, or kind of this game, or what a lot of women think, oh, he's gonna leave her for me. Um, I just I think it has a lot to do with self-esteem that okay, this man's wanting me, or just honestly like an insecurity. I think I think it can be a lot of different factors for sure.
I would kind of latch on to almost the latter of what you said. Not even just insecurities, but when you said that I can get him to love me. And
Hmm.
it goes back because I've said this a lot. We talk about the male ego, but we do have that too, especially when
Yeah,
it comes to
absolutely.
men. where she thinks I deserve him and
Mhm.
I'm better than her. So I'm
Mhm.
going to try to make him love me and stop loving her.
Correct.
Because with me, the way I'm kind of set up is that if a man, because a lot of times men don't even try, they're not even pursuing the woman. They may just be telling, like I'm engaged, I love
Mhm.
my woman, and the woman he's talking to or they're overhearing that
Mhm.
will try to pursue him. So it's something
Yeah.
that's that woman ego, like, yeah, I'll get him,
Mhm.
and she may not
It's a
even want
game.
him. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
it's a game.
Yeah.
She may not actually even want him, just the fact that how can he
Mhm.
love her like that? And why isn't
Mhm.
anybody loving on me? Because she doesn't really even know him, to be truthfully
Right.
honest, a lot of times they don't know him. Yeah,
Mhm.
so
And the I can have him if I want him type ego,
mhm.
I think for sure.
Yep, that woman ego. I'm throwing that up there because I just realized we do have him. We have that
Yeah,
woman's
we
ego.
do. We do. It's that I also think like pride, like we're feeling ourselves, which is good. We're confident, but not when it's an individual who's taken. I mean, roles are reversed. We would never want our man to do that. So it's like if you don't want him to do it, you shouldn't be doing it either. I very, very strongly believe in that. So
There,
yeah,
that's
it
how
takes.
I think, but obviously there's a lot of because
Yeah.
even when I was, I mean, I don't even know where this. I kind of do know because when I was 10, I would spend summers with my uncle and he would sit down and do devotion. So I think a lot of
Mhm.
those morals and values were kind of instilled in that little part of my
Mhm.
life. But I remember I didn't go out a whole lot even before I came to Christ. I went out because my mom told me if you find a man at a nightclub, he's probably gonna be there.
Mhm.
So
Right.
when I went to the club, I went to dance,
Right.
and I
Have
didn't
fun with the
drink.
girls. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't drink, because I had to be in control. Wasn't, I was holding it was like,
Mhm.
nope, I don't trust people.
Mhm.
And then I went home. So it was one time I was out with some friends. I was driving because I had just got this car. It was a 1978 Ford Fairmount. Girl, it was terrible, but it was
Ooh.
my car. It had a V8
Right.
engine,
Yep. Own
and it
that
looked
for
like a
sure.
cow. It had rust on it. So, but I was like, I don't care. This is my car. And because I would like speed race, sometimes when we would go out, speed race, the guys just show. I'm like, yeah, look at this chick with the
Yep.
the
This is
motor.
mine. I own it.
Yes. But one day I was with a friend. She was cool, but she had a cousin with her.
Mhm.
And we were at a stoplight and the girl rolled down the windows and she's trying to talk to a guy who's in the car with a girl. So
Mhm.
I'm like, dude, you need to chill out. Like, what are you doing? And she was still persistent. I'm like, she's never coming out with us anymore.
Right.
I just don't like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, Jesus, I just don't like that. And then
Mhm.
too, like this situation, when I was married, um, my ex-husband, like I was cleaning up one day and I found this card. It wasn't like he was trying to hide it from me, but it was a
Mhm.
card, the CARD. And I was reading it, and it was a woman writing a letter to my ex-husband, my husband at the time, saying how she was so in love with him and that she could see them cuddled up in front of a fireplace, um, making love and all this. Now, the funny thing is, I'm reading it and I'm laughing because I'm like, he's never gonna cuddle with her. He's not that type of guy. But then it
Mhm.
dawned on me, wait a minute, this is my husband. And
Mhm.
so I was pissed and I went to him. I was like, what is this about? And when I showed it to him, he started laughing. And I said, what's so
Classic.
funny? Yeah, I was like, this is not funny. He said, I did not see that coming. I said, what did you tell her? What have you been doing to make her think
Mhm.
you were available? He said, the only thing I did was buy her a candy bar out of the vending machine.
Mhm.
And she
For her
fell
to
in
write a
love with
whole
me.
card like that.
Girl, I said, really? So this is the beginning of me realizing how desperate we are. Like this, he's a whole married man.
Oh yeah.
Um, and he bought you a candy bar and then there was one woman who said she was saying that I was What did she say? I was asking because I was asking him to help me clean up, and she was saying that I was ungrateful, and that when she had a man, she worked 2 jobs and she did everything. And I said, I kind of went off on him. I said, don't you ever tell me anything like that, because for one, she had a man, so obviously that didn't work out.
Oh, snap.
And then if she had to work 2 jobs, that really wasn't the ideal situation.
Mhm.
So don't bring her advice to me, because I won't have that. But just the mentality of us women, and then we wonder why men play games with us.
Yep.
Um, because we just fall for little stuff like a candy bar. Like you're in love because he
Yep.
bought you a candy bar. Or it could just point to a lot of trauma that we have.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah, so now I want to go here because there's a story in the Bible with Second Samuel chapter 13. And it kind of had me confused. I don't know if you're familiar with this story, but it was King David's son and his daughter. And so his son, his name was Tamar, or his name was Amnon, but his stepsister name was Tamar, and she was the sister of Absalom.
Okay.
And so Amnon was so in love with his half sister that the scripture said he ached for her. And so he had a best friend, I guess you can call her, a cousin who was close to him. And he confided in him. And he's like, I really love her. And she was a virgin. And so back in those days, if you lost your virginity, it was something big. It wasn't like how we do it
Mhm.
now. And we just say,
Right.
oops. Like you really couldn't get married. They literally looked at you as defiled.
Right.
So he devised this plan he played like he was sick, and then he had it set up where he was like, I want her to take care of me. So when she did, she came and she baked something, made him soup, I don't know. And when he got her alone, he raped her. Yep, he raped
Oh
her.
my,
And then right after he was done with her, the Bible said that he hated her. He hated her even more than he quote unquote loved her.
oh my
And
God.
so that confused me, because like it was like, well, how
Mhm.
can he got what he wanted. He took her, took her virginity, and then he tosses her away. He hated her. Now the end of that was terrible because Absalom ended
Mhm.
up setting it up where ended up killing his brother because he defiled his sister.
Right.
And then he kind of destroyed her life because then she was tainted and nobody
Yeah.
wanted to marry her. So my question to you is, why do you think a man would treat a woman that way after he gets what he wants and then tosses her to the side?
I think it comes back to trauma. Um, there's something, either childhood trauma or something, or someone he feels did that to him in a way,
Mhm.
used him, or he's searching for something, and that moment kind of feels, and then it's like, I'm done with you. Of course, I never would condone that. I think that's
Mhm.
disgusting and terrible of an individual to do that. Um, but I think it comes down to, I mean, like today's an age, I would say trauma. That they're not dealing with something, that is just they're numbing themselves with something. Oh, I can. It's a easy hit, or what they would say nowadays, and then just move on. So I think it's definitely trauma, or like we were talking about ego. Like, oh, I can. It's hard to go after, or it's um, desirable or whatever. Oh, I can have that. I can have that. Once you get it, it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm good.
Right.
Yeah, that would be my take on it for sure. Of course, never condone that. Is terrible. Um, but I think that would be my perspective on it.
Yeah. And I just think, like, I think it's what you said, the trauma of could be like, I want that, and I experienced some rejection in my
Mhm.
life, and so I feel like if I get her, or if I get that, and you let your mind get carried away, you think it's
Mhm.
going to do something for you, feel
Yeah.
some kind of void, and then you get it, and it's
Mhm.
like, that wasn't it, and now
Mhm.
I think it comes from, too, like when I feel like when men get things the wrong way, they end up resenting it later.
Mhm.
because
Absolutely.
it's a conscious thing. Like I got what I wanted, but
Mhm.
now my conscience is tainted. And even like
Mhm.
for women who would take him in, like Mark's situation, he was engaged. He really, things
Mhm.
were set up for him. He didn't
Mhm.
realize what it would cost him by sleeping with Shell. He lost friends because they, didn't
Yeah.
respect him anymore. And so although Shell gave him what he wanted, he lost what he had, and it was a lot more. And so I
Mhm.
think a lot of times when we do stuff like that and we take a man away, we lure him away.
Mhm.
Yeah, we got him. But when he sits back and thinks about what he lost, he'll resent you. Now, of course, in
Absolutely.
Shell's situation, Mark didn't rape her,
Mhm.
but I still feel like it's that mentality of the man getting what he wanted or he thought he wanted and losing everything. Now, in Amnon's situation, he lost his peace
Right.
because he took this from her and no, it didn't satisfy the way he thought, and so now he has to live with that. And so
Mhm.
now my way of dealing with this is to deflect it on you. It's your fault. Get
Yeah.
out of my sight. So
And I'd be curious how the stepsister, half sister reacted. Like if she rejected him and then he did this type thing, like, oh, you don't have that love or that desire I want for you or for me, like I have for you, kind of how that would play. Because I feel like that's always a fear of mine is someone cat calls or whatever and you reject someone because you hear these horror stories. Um, how it could come back to you or they don't like rejection or something like that. So I'd be curious. Obviously it's in the Bible, things like that, but
yeah,
yeah, I'd be
remember in that story, she didn't reject him. She actually said, "Why would you do such a thing? Why don't
okay.
you? I'm sure if you ask, our Father would give me to you in marriage." So
Hmm.
she was trying to get him to do it the right way, and he
Right.
wasn't.
And he
So
didn't want
you,
that.
yeah,
Gotcha.
it's Second Samuel chapter 13. So if you want to check
Okay.
it out.
Okay.
But yeah,
Good to know.
that confused me because I was like, he got what he, and he just threw her away like that. But
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with the conscience and peace.
Yep. A temporary fix, but permanent consequences.
Absolutely. And then too, I was doing research because I talked about this in another podcast show where we were talking about the dog-like spirit. Like why,
Hmm.
we think of a dog, you have a dog. Dogs
Hmm.
go on instinct.
Hmm.
So, and they can't even see danger. So, if they see a cat, they just go after a cat. Like they
Hmm.
don't
Oh
look
yeah.
around to see, is this dangerous for me? They just go. And so
Hmm.
when dogs, like, or when men who are dogs, when they see a woman, they just go. They're not thinking this is going to ruin my marriage. If my kids
Hmm.
find out, this will confuse them. They're
Yeah.
just, I want it, go.
Correct.
And so, when men are doing that, um or put it like this, the I looked up the characteristics of a male dog. So
Okay.
male dogs will sleep with anything in heat. They don't care who it
Yep.
is, anything in heat. And so, and it's said that once the dog finishes, he instantly loses interest in the woman, in the female dog.
Wow.
Instantly. But he's very persistent
With
while,
getting
yeah, with getting her. And once he
mhm.
gets her and he's finished, he loses. So they literally are stuck with the litter.
Wow, that's crazy. I did not know that.
So a lot of times, like when we're not operating in the spirit of God, we're
Mhm.
actually taking on animal-like spirits.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we go, instead of going off of, I don't know what you would call that in the spiritual realm. Well, the spirit, the Holy Spirit, the guidance of the Holy Spirit, the
Mhm.
conscience. We're going off of instinct. And this
Right.
is why we hurt people. It's more of like, survival of the fittest. It's me and I'm stepping on you to get ahead. It's
Mhm.
about me. It's that narcissist
Yeah,
behavior. Yeah.
absolutely. That's crazy. I did not know that.
Look it up. I just Googled it.
Interesting. I was thinking of having my dog having some puppies in a year. So we'll see. That's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. So now this next question. Have you known of any marriages or relationships that were like started out with adultery or started out kind of bogus, but they made it. They actually have been successful.
Mm. Um, I know one, I wouldn't say successful, they're working on it. Um, Someone I know, so the man was married, and the female, individual I know, um, kind of was, I guess, was messing around with the guy, similar to like Mark and Shell. But I guess he told her that he was getting divorced, but he wasn't. So it started off as a lie and adultery. He ended up getting divorced, and so they ended up dating, everything like that. Um, but then she believed that he was cheating on her, kind of doing the same thing, and she ended up getting pregnant. And so and it's just very terrible communication, all of these things, and a lot of things don't add up on his part, so we definitely think he is cheating while she's pregnant. So it's,
Wow.
they're working through it, but you always want to look at like the beginning of a relationship. Okay, if he's going to cheat on her, he's going to cheat on you. Isn't that, there's like a song about that. um Statistics by Life Jennings, he talks about that. And so I guess want to look at that. I don't really know too many that are successful off that.
Yeah, I would have to say the ones that I knew. It's not a whole heap, but the
Mhm.
ones that I knew, they're either not doing good or they ended
Mhm.
up bad. And it was one who it looked like there was progress there,
Mhm.
but he ended up doing the same thing he did to his wife. And so
Yeah.
um I was confused because she did confide in me and she was really distraught. Like
Mhm.
she was like, he said he would
Yeah.
never do this. And I asked, I
Mhm.
said, but he said that to his wife. Like because I was at first, I just was like, okay, she has to vent. But she
Right.
was so broken that I was confused. And I'm like, why are you like, you didn't see this coming? Like he
Right.
did this to his wife. And with me, Sarah, like I totally, if I would have been like, that's what I get,
Mhm.
because my thing is, if a woman gets a man the wrong way, what is she really expecting from him?
Right.
Like, are you
That he's
really
gonna,
expecting
that he's
loyalty?
gonna change that. Right. Absolutely. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, so I mean, I've only seen it usually just ends up with unexpected broken heart because he did good for a while and then all of a sudden
Went back to his ways.
went back to his regular habits or
Mhm.
babies out of wedlock. Like so
Mhm.
like your situation, your friend's situation, where you're
Mhm.
pregnant and now you're kind of almost in the wife's situation
Yeah.
or position if she had kids with him. Wasted years, wasted
Mhm.
youth. Like it honestly, I've just seen it was not successful.
Yeah.
Disease,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes.
unhealthy attachments.
Mhm.
Because usually, like when a guy, if he cheats on a woman, he literally married and have witnesses and like what are you, I mean, and me, I'm saying, me too, who am I to think that he made a whole commitment with her and she didn't really seem to do anything to him. She
Mhm.
trusted him and then I get him. I just don't know what to expect and then how that's supposed to look because it was a friend of mine, her husband or ex-husband cheated on her. And then he just wanted to bring the other girl around like us, like nothing changed. And it was like, dude, like that's still my
Wow.
girl.
Some people are so bold, I swear.
Like, no, it's not. So Mark situations, it's like, no, you don't get to just add her in here and think we're just supposed to embrace this.
Right.
No.
Right.
And we get to choose just like you chose that. You didn't do it decently. So,
And they weren't
um,
even married, they were engaged. So it's like, oh, if you're going to do this before we have that lifetime commitment, I would check if those vows are really what you're going to be committing to.
Yeah.
So,
But for Crystal, that was actually a benefit because then she didn't have to go through that whole, being a person
right.
who divorced, it's a lot getting out of a
Mhm.
marriage. And
Yeah.
then you have the attachment too, because you don't marry. I mean, I don't care what most people don't marry to get divorced.
Oh yeah, shoot. My biggest thing, I did not want to get divorced at all, and I always told myself that I was gonna fight everything I could to not do that, but fortunately, I
Yeah.
was the only one fighting. So,
Yeah, it has to be two. How can two walk together unless they agree? And so honestly, I've learned a lot. I have to say, even though it was a lot that I went through,
hmm
and like I said, I wasn't perfect, but I
hmm
was I was in it. I
right,
was genuinely in
committed.
it,
Yeah.
committed, right or wrong. And
Mhm.
I realized you have to be on the same page. And so going forward, the court back in the day they used to court, and that just means they literally people were watching them while they were out in this courtyard
hmm
talking and getting to know each other. We got to do more than that and stop being driven by, like, oh, I'm attracted to him,
hmm
comfort, being driven by all those stuff things and really sitting down, having a vision. Because
Yeah.
I really don't think you should even get married if you don't have a vision for it.
Absolutely. Ooh, I could not agree more. Now, after like my divorce, like I look at things completely different, completely different. Or even just getting close to going on a date with a man or anything like that. Like I'll ask certain questions, and it's like now I'm recognizing those red flags, or even like asking the, oh, do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids?
Mhm.
Oh, I don't want to get married, or I don't want to have kids. Okay, it's something I definitely want.
And
So right off the bat, kind of makes
yeah.
sense. Yep.
Absolutely. It really is that simple. Because when you're 20s, in your 20s, you really don't know. You haven't
Right.
had a lot of experience. You don't really know all what to look for. But when you're older and you've had experience and you don't want to repeat the behavior, you're looking
Mhm.
for something specific. It's kind of like if you're going out looking for a house.
Yep.
So you put in, like when you search those sites, they'll say, do you want to, I forgot what they call it, but being more specific. So you put in these
Filters.
filters, yeah. So you
Mhm.
add the filter. So if you want 3 bedrooms, an extra bathroom,
Mhm.
2-car garage, a swimming pool,
Pool,
yeah.
all
So
of it.
fireplace. So when you put those
Yeah.
things in, your selection gets shorter.
Mhm.
The broader you are, the more you have. So a lot of people are like, well, why aren't you getting a lot of prospects? Because I'm looking for something specific, more specific. When I was 20, yeah, it was a bunch of
Yeah.
prospects, but now I'm narrowing that stuff down.
Right. I'm
'Cause
good. I want quality over quantity.
absolutely. I think you
Yep.
said it better. That's a
Man.
good way to put it. And then you know yourself. So it's like, nope, I can't
Yeah.
do that. I don't want to clean a fireplace. So yeah, we're gonna cut that
Right.
off.
And you know yourself, like you said, you know yourself better. Confidence is, I think, huge. And knowing what you went through, you don't want to go through that again.
Hmm.
And you learned yourself who you are and what you want. And it took a lot for you to get there. So you don't want to go back. You want to only push forward and someone to add to that, not take or anything like that, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Okay, so then this next question. Have you ever been approached by a man who was taken?
Yes, I was really young. I had to be probably like 19, 20. Um, and he was engaged, about to get married. And I mean, it was flattering. He was very cute and everything. And of course, I was immature, but it was just like we would talk, text or whatever at the time. But I would, and he wanted to meet up, everything. I'm like, yeah, no, this is too far. Like, this is, and then it dawned on me, it's like, he's getting married. Like, he has someone. You don't want to, one, be that other person. Two, break up a marriage or relationship. Three, you would never want anyone to do that to you.
No.
I mean, even at a young age, it was like, it's fun, entertaining, but then it's like, what are you doing? This is so wrong. So, yep, absolutely. And not proud of it.
Yeah, I don't remember at least being approached before marriage, but I got married young. I got married, I was 22 or 23.
Okay.
But after my divorce, I did, and it was confusing because I got approached by a guy who was married to in the church, who was married to
Oh,
someone with a high position.
wow.
And it made me nervous because I was newly divorced. And so
Mhm.
it was just me and my kids. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling weird, but maybe this is just who he is. And he
Mhm.
got more persistent. The more I was like, like him blowing it off. And it
Mhm.
got so bad, Sarah, that at work at my lunch, I used to work out on Barker Road. And so there's a
Okay.
lot of scenic areas. So like on my lunch, I
Yeah.
will walk around, just walk.
It's beautiful over there.
Yeah, and so I was walking down Barker Road, and somebody drove by and they bumped the horn, and so I just waved. I didn't know who it was.
Mhm.
When I got to the end of the corner, he was parked. Yeah, he drove a courier car, and
Yep.
so he was parked and he was leaning on the car. And I said, "Hey," and he had that glossy lust look in his
Mhm.
eye. And he reached out, he was like, "Give me a hug." And I hugged him. I was very uncomfortable. I hugged him. And
Yeah.
then he was just trying to keep me there. And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I gotta go." So I felt
Mhm.
like really weird, like, oh my God, like this guy really is pursuing me. And my girlfriend had told me, she was like, because I was like, well, maybe he's just not. And she was like, mm.
Mhm.
And then the what did it was when my friend had made some cookies and she was handing them out, and he said, "No, I don't want yours, I want Sheree's cookies." And I said, "Okay, no, I got to deal with this." Because he would, like, after service, he would come by me and he would always say, "When you gonna let me come by your house and play chess?" Now mind you, I played chess.
Mhm.
Haven't played in years, but I used to play chess. So we were
Mhm.
at a picnic, and that's when he found that out. But he
Mhm.
was using that as a play on words.
Yeah.
And so that's when my girlfriend, she was around, because he didn't seem like he was really, really hiding it. And
Right.
so it made me very uncomfortable. And when she said that, I'm like,
Right.
I gotta put on my big girl drawers and handle this. So
Yeah.
this is what I did. He approached me again like that, and I said, "I wonder if your wife would be okay knowing that you keep asking to come over my house. What do you think?" And he said, um, I don't she won't have a problem with that. And I said, "Well, I'm gonna ask her."
Good for you. Yes.
And I went to his wife, I put her aside, and I asked her. And I said, I just don't want any trouble, so I'm just
Right.
letting you know he's asking to come over my house to play chess, and I just want you to know that." Now, he left me alone, but she resented me. She resented me, so when I started doing ministry, it was a problem. Anytime I brought her something, she would turn it around in a ways like, "Wait,
Mhm.
how did it turn from here to here?" And then it dawned on me like, "Oh, she's," 'cause so a lot of women, they don't like that. But
Yeah.
I felt uncomfortable. I needed to do it. Like,
Right.
what she doesn't understand is it was me and my 2 kids, and
Mhm.
I was doing what I felt like I needed to make sure I was protected. I didn't know what her husband was going to
Absolutely.
do. If he came to my literally parked, he knew kinda like the area I worked in.
Mhm.
I didn't know if he was gonna look me up and follow, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying, like, I had to deal with it, and she
Mhm.
may have been offended, but it was more of a safety issue for me.
Yeah. I'm curious as to, I'm sure with how smooth he seemed, that he twisted it when she confronted him.
Well, at that point, I didn't care. I was just
Right.
happy he was off of me. So, he
Yeah.
may have, but
That's my guess.
still,
Right.
I was one of those people who somebody called me unscathed. Like a lady
Mhm.
said that you're unscathed. And this guy even said, when I was actually talking to him, he said, "I don't hear about you in the church." And this was a church I was at for like
Mhm.
for a long time. So
Mhm.
I stayed out of stuff like that, especially when I was
Yeah.
married, because I got a conscience. I
Yeah.
have a really bad conscience, so I can't
Exactly.
just do wicked stuff and then go to sleep at night.
Mhm. I
um,
100% agree with you.
yeah. So, but yeah, that was
That's
the only time that
crazy.
was. Yeah.
And I'm guessing, and that's why I think he's changed something, because personally, I would do the same thing. I would want someone to come to me if, shoot, when my ex-husband cheated on me, I wish someone would have told me. I felt embarrassed when no one told me, but
Hmm.
everyone knew. So it's like, I'd rather have someone tell me and be straight honest than me be completely naive to it and know nothing about it. So that's definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah, and I would appreciate that. I thought that was something,
Right,
like I would have been like, "Thank you for telling me. I'm
right,
about to deal with this."
right. And now I know the type of man he is. Like, yep.
Yeah. And I even in high school, I was like that, with
Hmm.
my girlfriend. Well, it was my girlfriend. Like this was my BFF. I had her back. Like I just really thought like
Hmm.
this was my girl until some stuff came back to me. But she was dating a guy who was a complete jerk. He was attractive, but it just wasn't, to me, attractiveness did not negate you. You didn't get to treat me like crap just because you're handsome.
Right.
I just had
Correct.
a type of pride on me, like, okay, yeah, this is gonna stop right now.
Mhm.
But again, this is where I was kind of learning where even though we were close from middle school to high
Mhm.
school, when we started dating, like when we turn on each other for the men. And so
Mhm.
I caught him, it was like an after school thing, and I was after school. Now I knew he had been dating my friends for a while, and I see him hugged up with another girl. So I'm like, wait a minute. No, he did not. So I walk up to him and the girl and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's
Yep.
like, I'm fine." And I said, "Oh, so did you and, my friend break up?" And he said, nah." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm telling her, right?"
Right.
But when I told her, she stayed with him, and then our friendship started drifting away.
Yeah. Man, it sounds like my aunt and her ex-husband, they grew up, went to high school together, everything, and my mom was 2 years younger. Saw him flirting with other women, like he was known for it. They ended up getting married, everything, and they broke up because he was cheating everything. Same thing. But people told her everything and it'll get better, it'll get better, he'll stop, he'll stop. Nope.
I don't want to hear it.
Ugh. And that's hard. I mean, it's you block it out or what they say, oh, sounds good. Okay, they're gonna change, they're gonna get better. Mm, yeah. Oh yeah. Ay,
Yeah.
ay, ay. That's a tough one.
Well, this next question. Have you ever been rejected by a man? And if so, how did you handle it?
Okay. Rejected in what way? Like didn't want to date, didn't want to.
Just any way you felt like it was a rejection.
Okay. I had someone who, gosh, how many years? I don't know how many years ago this was. Um, that we were really close, like friends, everything. I thought, hey, we're gonna date, everything, and there were some roadblocks and um, kind of in the way, and I took it upon myself, like, okay, seeing how we were to kind of confront those roadblocks, those individuals who wouldn't have really approved of it. And I kind of confronted them. They were happy about it, but then when I came to him about it, he's like, "No, I don't want to be together. I don't do those things." And so it was definitely hurtful. We were friends. We were really close. Um, and so I had to kind of like hide that hurt, but still stay friends with him.
Right.
So that was really hard. And like I said, this was many years ago, and ended up having to step away, all that stuff. Um, but when I did step away after feeling that rejection, getting that rejection, he ended up getting starting to date someone like 3 months later, got her pregnant, all this stuff after saying he didn't want a relationship. So it was just like, something didn't add up here. Um, and we're still friends to this day, but I still kind of I'm not salty about it, but it's just like it doesn't make sense. Now he's like, wants to pursue, and it's like, nah, I'm good, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like
After
came
all
past, it
that.
was ages ago. I'm good. Like I was all in on you and you didn't. So it's like, you don't have to tell me twice. You don't want me. So that's how I was. I mean, I feel like we've all felt or been rejected at some point, but I'm the type of person like I would hurt in silence and I'd tell them and I'd be like, no, I'm good. I'm good. We'll still be friends. But even like being with them, it's hard for sure. But I don't want to ruin that friendship. Um, and then maybe like specifically this instance, I backed away just a little bit or made myself busy or numbed the pain by working too much, things like that. Um, but yeah, that was so long ago. Oh my God. That was like, I was in college, I think. I
Yeah,
remember.
I was trying to think. I was digging. not too far, because actually, not too long ago, I would, someone said that they weren't really feeling me like I was feeling them. And the
Okay.
thing was, I was like, oh, oops. I felt more embarrassed because I got the signal wrong.
I've been there. Shoot, I've been
I'm
there.
like, okay, yeah, okay. But I remember the first time I felt rejection, I was in middle school.
Mhm.
And mind you, I was coming out of being a tomboy, so
Yeah.
I put my little heart on the line. It was this guy. I still know his name. Actually, I think we're Facebook friends. But it was around Easter, and I was like, I'm
Mhm.
going to do it. So I went and found this little chicken,
Yes.
and I had a card, and I know me, I wrote something corny in it, but letting him know that I liked him. And so I
Yep.
gave him the chicken and the card, and it was in study hall. I'll never forget it. So I gave it to him, and I went and sat in my seat. And then all of a sudden, I heard his friend say, Sheree like you, but I like Sheree.
Oh.
And the guy never said anything. He never said anything. He never approached me. He just took the chicken in the car, and he never said
Oh
anything.
no.
So I was like, he don't like me, so
Yep.
it did something to me, but of course I got over it. And then we actually ended up talking briefly in, was it high school? I think it was high. Oh no, it was around high
Mhm.
school. It was just briefly. And I don't think I ever even asked him about that. Like, why didn't he respond? Because now I'm looking back, it could be because his friend liked me.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't like his friend. His friend was too short. So
Oh my gosh, your story brought me back to grade school. Okay, so there was one boy in grade school I just adored, and definitely liked him way more than he liked me. I had wrote his name in hearts and all over the stuff, and wrote on a piece of paper like with fifth grade, like you're starting to date or whatever. And he said yes, but it was for like a class period, and then it was like, no, we don't need to do this. Of course, me shy and embarrassed because all his little boyfriends, like male friends, found out, made me feel, like I wasn't worthy and just embarrassed. But of course, still was obsessed with this guy, like all through grade school. And my family was still giving me crap about him. But then come high school and college, I actually became really close friends with his brother, like just super close friends. But then this guy got married and everything, and my parents are still like, "Oh, remember when you liked so and so?" Like to this, we were kids. Oh yeah, but that rejection, your first, what Pastor Ken talked about, your first rejection, you don't remember, you don't forget that.
Oh no. And the
Mm-mm.
crazy thing is, it's like, even like going back to my situation, or like when gave the guy the chicken and the card,
Mm-hmm.
and his friend said, "But I like Sheree," and I didn't like his friend because he was too short. So it's like we hate rejection, but we don't mind giving it out.
Right.
You notice
Yep.
that? Like, and then we take it so hard. It's like, well, they're
Yep.
supposed to get over it because I don't like them. And it really
Right.
is an ego thing. It's a pride thing. Like, what's wrong
Yeah.
with me? And it really may not have anything to do with you. Now, honestly, me being older and me knowing what I'm looking for,
Mm-hmm.
I can take rejection. I actually welcome it. I would rather for
Mm-hmm.
you to tell me we're not a good fit,
Right.
because I don't take it personally, because it may not. There's guys that I like I thought was very handsome,
Mm-hmm.
but we just didn't have the same lifestyle, or
Right.
we had the same lifestyle, but his character sucked. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not always like a bad thing. And some things I'm like, but God, and it's like, no, do you really want to go through that again? It's
Yep.
my experience is like, no, I don't. And so it's not that like something is wrong with them. It's
Right.
just that it's not a
You
good
know.
fit, and it's okay. It's kind of like this. If I had if I before I left home, I have this outfit, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta go get some green patent leather pumps.
Yeah.
So I go out to the store looking for some green patent leather pumps, but I see some pink Mary Janes, I see some tan flats, I see
Yep.
some tennis shoes. Doesn't mean anything is wrong with those shoes. It just means that they're not what I was looking for.
Yep. Facts.
So to me, like, rejection is not a big thing. Of course, it still hurts because, our
Right,
normal human
absolutely.
nature, we don't like rejection. But
Mhm.
because I process it differently now because I am adamant, like I have a vision for my life, and
Right.
I'm encouraging others to do the same so that we don't
Mhm.
get the wrong fit and then we're
Yep.
we're regretting it.
Yeah. And that's interesting you said that. I'm actually terrible at like rejecting people. Like I care so much. I care about someone's feelings and everything, where I have my male best friend like help me word things where I'm like, I don't want to, I still got to deal with them professionally. Like, how do I? So I have male best friends help me because I care about this individual's feelings. We're going to be, cross paths at some point, and I'm just terrible at like rejecting people. I'm like, we're at like if I'm at a bar, shoot, I give them. Do you remember that phone number? It's like the Jenny 8675309. Girl, this is what I do. I go
Oh my
when a man
God.
asks me, I go 414-867-5309. That's how good it is. If it's someone I know, so bad. And then I just leave quick before they like call to confirm or text me.
That
But
is too funny. I've never heard of that one.
yeah, there used to be a
Well, I
rejection
mean, I guess,
hotline.
yeah. Okay. No, I've never heard of the rejection, but I mean, giving the wrong number, but not the
Yeah.
rejection hotline. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just so
Me
bad at like, no, I'm sorry.
and me, I always have a reason for it. Like I can explain why, and
Right.
that's because I'm like dating or looking on purpose, and so
Right.
God showed me actually because I wanted to just do ministry after my divorce. I
Hmm.
want to do ministry, Father, and just look up and see my husband.
Yeah.
So 5 years, nothing. It was nothing but ministry. Well, no, I ain't gonna say nothing. It was a situation, but I knew I wasn't moving. So I didn't
Hmm.
start going out on dates until after 5 years.
Okay.
And so, I was running into these guys. I'm like, he's not it, he's not it. And I was like, God, why I told you I don't want to just date all these guys,
Hmm.
or I didn't really date them, but entertain all these guys. So
Yeah.
God was showing me, like one day he was like, I'm a God of sowing and reaping. And so
Hmm.
you can't just take a good man out of the earth without helping me to plant good men. So
Right.
now when a guy get as far as getting my number and we're talking on the, because I let him know I don't date for sports, so we talk first
Right.
because I
Absolutely.
gotta I gotta make sure for one that you're safe, because I can
Hmm.
discern some stuff over the phone,
Yeah.
um, and that you're somebody I actually like.
And connect with, have some similar interests, can grow with, can have a intellectual conversation with. Not that I'm just gonna be bored.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because I met this guy in the jacuzzi one time. And I'm talking about this is how I know I've matured in God because he was fine. He had muscles everywhere. I'm talking about everywhere. I think even in his ears. And he asked to go out. Like we're sitting in the jacuzzi. He was like, can I take you?
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't know you. So no, we're not gonna do that today. But I can't give you a call later. So he was so freaking boring.
Ah,
Um,
yep. Oh, another type. Oh.
and I thought, okay, maybe he just thinks he's gonna get some, but I let him know, like, nope, nothing is happening. I
Mhm.
have been celibate for blah 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 years to let him
Mhm.
know, but he still wanted me to call him and talk. Now I'm a talker, but if I don't feel anything on the other end, I don't want to be on the phone. So there was a
Mhm.
lot of times I'd be like, well, I'll call you back, and he had an attitude, and I'm like, dude, you're not talking about nothing though. And so
Yes.
I realized I want more than just muscles. Like
Yeah.
I'm attracted to the inner person.
Correct. So funny you said that. So there was a guy I was talking to a while back, and I challenged him. I was like, because oh yeah, we'll meet up. Blah, blah. I said that's fine. I said we'll like kind of get to know each other a little bit, but I realized that it was talking about himself and not like asking me questions, like trying to get to
Mhm.
know me. And I was kind of leading the conversation, so I like pulled back. And then he would reach out like, oh, you kind of backed out, and I didn't want to be like, well, you don't ask about me or anything like that, but I challenged him, and I'm like, I don't want to just hang out or let's grab a drink late. It's like, no, if you're interested, take me on an actual date. If that's what you want to do, take me on it. Like I want to see commitment to it or some interest into me, not me driving it. And I feel like a lot of times after me and a gentleman exchange numbers, things like that. Like I'm driving it, like I'm the one who's interested, and it's like, nope, we're gonna pull back a little bit and have a man drive it and kind of see where they gauge a little bit. But it's funny you said that for sure. I agree.
Absolutely. And I would even challenge you to go out on a limb and say you don't ask anything about me. That's what God was showing me. He was saying my men need help.
Okay.
Men listen to us when we're not sexual with them and we're not in a relationship.
So true. Oh my gosh, is that true?
So when you can say, this is why, like, I don't think this is going to work out because you're not interested in getting to know me, and I want a guy who wants to get to know me. I literally
Right.
had, and I've done this, where
Mhm.
I only had one guy to say, thank you for telling me that.
Mhm.
But the other guys got upset, but I knew you'll be okay once the swelling go down. You needed to hear that. But there was a guy who kept, he was promising me flowers. Like what I noticed about him, he kept saying, I'm going to take you here. I'm going to take you there.
Mhm.
Trying to sell me the
Oh,
land of
word
make
salad.
believe.
Yep.
And
Ooh.
so I finally told him, I said, stop promising me flowers. If either you buy the flowers or not, because you said this a
Mhm.
couple of times, you keep taking it back, and he was doing it for play.
Mhm.
I said, but I said, I know I'm not for you. I said, because I give easy, and you seem like you struggle. I didn't call him stingy, but I, said in a way that to make him think that, or make him know that that's what I meant. And so he got upset like I'm not, and I was like, and I gave him specific instruction, I mean specific examples, like you promised this, we still ain't did that, you promised
Mhm.
that, we still ain't did that, and you keep going back and forth with these flowers. And I said, so it's not gonna work.
Yeah, red flag. They're
But
not
because,
backing their words up with actions.
yeah, and then too, like, because when we do that, we're not, women prepare men for other women.
Oh, I'm like notorious for that. I hate it.
No, it's good though. It's good. That's what God
No.
wants you. Yes, it is.
Oh,
Trust
Terry, I
me.
hate it.
Because you're waiting for God to give you the right man. Because
Mhm.
obviously there was a woman who, even with, like, if when we're like, me as a mother, I prepared my son.
Mhm.
And so there's some things that he struggled with, but there's some things his girlfriend said thank you.
Right.
So if some men didn't get that from their mom, God is saying, I need my women to help by
Mhm.
keeping my standard, and then being honest with the men. And you're planting seed so that you can get a harvest, because it's the same thing with you. There's another woman preparing your man for you.
True. Ooh, I didn't think of it. I just thought of me kind of being that. What is it? What is? There's something, a phrase for it. Like I'm like how kind of are you talking about? I'm really good at preparing the
Yeah.
guy for his wife or something.
Yep.
Yep.
Because even this situation, I'm gonna put this out here because it's relevant. I'm not trying to, like, expose, but leave him with my ex. So
Mhm.
when we were together, I was always saying, asking him to hold my hand, take me out, do all of this stuff. Now, when my daughter was pregnant with my first granddaughter, we were planning a baby shower. And so I was calling to let people know, like, wait, we got people confused. So before we go ahead, let's stop. We're going to do a Zoom call so everybody know their place. Cause it was in the pandemic. So I'm like, I don't want people wasting their
Right.
money.
Yep.
And so his new wife, I called her, and then she kind of took me in a conversation that I knew it was kind of like that ego thing. Like she was trying to
Mhm.
tell me she was a better woman than I was. So I kind of got to a point where I'm like, look, okay, I obviously, because I was trying to let her know, like, yeah, y'all good for each other. But she was telling me things that was out of line, like, oh, we hold hands, we do this and do that. And so I finally told her, look, you, when we were together, it was terrible. I was asking him to do those things. And so I guess he figured if he wants to keep his wife, he'll have to do that. So, and I wanted to say,
Ooh.
so you're welcome, because
Yep.
she was trying to let me know, because she's so awesome. She walks up on him and he's doing this stuff for her. He got the idea because I planted those seeds. You get what I'm trying to say?
Oh, yep, that's my ex-husband. Yep.
Yeah. So we do prepare men for other women,
Mhm.
and that's how it's supposed to be.
It's hurtful sometimes.
Yeah.
It hurts.
But because, it could be too that God is saying, the reason why he wants it like that, so we don't glory and we can thank him for the man. Because then we'll
Yeah.
be thinking, like arrogant, like, oh, because of me, because of my good
Right.
loving, he's all
Yeah.
wonderful. So it could be that's why God said, I am a God of sowing and reaping. So if we sow
Mhm.
here, he'll bring the increase. We don't always get the harvest where we sow. And we
Right.
really have to trust God. And I think I've sowed some wonderful seeds. So my husband,
Right.
he gonna be the bomb diggity bomb.
I swear. I'm praying, but it's God's timing, of course. And I just, try to be the best person. And I live by, treat others the way you want to be treated. Man, I love the whole hand holding, the intimacy, romance. Shoot, take me on a date. I want to spoil him. I want a man to spoil me so I can spoil him back.
Absolutely. I want that too.
Mm.
Um, so okay, and so this is my last question.
Okay.
Why do you think women hang on to men that don't want them anymore?
Trauma, rejection,
Mm,
the fear of being alone. Um, the fear of starting over. I think that was a big one for me. Was for my marriage, it was very public, um, and I was scared to start all over and like look embarrassed. Like, okay, yeah, our marriage looked all great on social media, but then everything happened, and it was just like I didn't want to look like I was a fraud because I was always very transparent and I am who I am. I was always like that. But I was scared to start over. I was scared to be alone because I come from a big family. There's always someone around. Um, but I had to really learn who I was. Um, so I think God did that for a reason, for sure. So I could figure out who I am to learn to be alone. Um, but I definitely think there's something more to it. So either is that trauma or um, if they're a narcissist or something like that, there's, that manipulation could be a factor or just the fear of starting over and being alone. I think for sure.
yeah, I would say fear is definitely one big, probably the main reason. Like even in Shell's situation, that
Mm-hmm.
fear of what she experienced with her mom.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom, the day she cried when she had that trigger where
Mm-hmm.
her dad never came back home, and so she doesn't want to end up like her mom. She's trying to keep this man so that she doesn't end up alone or he walks out because it's a traumatic experience. Yeah.
Which is so unhealthy. You're not happy. It just creates more of a, butting heads within it. And if you have children, they see it. You might not think they do, but they see it, they feel it. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, and it's not even a lot of times that they're holding on to the man. They're holding on to this idea of
Mm-hmm.
happiness, which is
Yep.
like I gotta have this family. So it's
Yeah.
not. I think Jamal Washington in our dialogue together, he said that a lot of times people are making an idol out of the marriage or relationship, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's like you can't leave me because
Mm-hmm.
you gotta be the pawn in my make believe world.
Right. Or just someone filling a shoe or like you said, imagination or just a body being there, a warm
Right.
body. It's like you're not really truly interested in them. It's just they're there
Yeah.
to
And
fill
you
that
and
void
you
for
built
you.
this and you've because people put on like a facade. Oh, we're happy.
Yeah.
I call them the great pretenders. There are people,
Mhm.
so that's why you cannot be jealous of people's marriage. I promise you,
Oh, yeah, I promise.
because people will portray, because they want to sell this image. This is
Hmm.
what my marriage is, and sometimes their spouse is not trying to go along with it, but they don't want to front them. So like
Yeah.
whatever, tell them whatever you want, but it's not what you think. And so a lot of this
Yeah.
Instagram stuff we see on Facebook ain't even reality. It really is like
Mhm.
staged.
That was my marriage. I mean, like I said, it was very public and everyone saw looked like we were perfect, but behind closed doors, like I had to be quiet about it because he had an image, things like that. But it was just, and then when everything came out, it was like, oh my gosh, people want us to get back together before knowing all the story, and this is a fairy tale, and it's like if you only knew.
Right. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
And then
I get you.
and I was gonna say, also adding that one of the reasons is that we may have invested way too much in the
Mhm.
man, and we're
Yeah.
looking for a return. And it's like you're walking away with my valuable things. I gave you my
Mhm.
time, I gave you my money. I gave you my
Mhm.
youth. I gave you so much. And I
Mhm.
did it because I thought you were going to love me back. And
Yeah.
this is why we have to challenge men to pour back into us, because where their
Mhm.
treasure is, that scripture Matthew 6:21, where
Okay.
your where your treasure is, so will your heart be.
Okay.
So wherever you're putting the things you value, your heart is going to be there. So this is
Mhm.
why we as women can't be overlooking men who are stingy and men who
Mhm.
don't want to pour into us, because we wonder, I gave them everything. Well, they gave us nothing. So of course
Right.
it's easy to walk away. If
Yeah.
I didn't pay nothing for something, I'm not gonna worry about
Mhm.
it. I'm gonna be like, I don't need that. You can have that. Versus,
Mhm.
oh wait, I paid $1,500 for this. No, I'm gonna hold on to this.
See, I was always praying and, thinking, okay, yeah, my marriage isn't working right now, everything, but maybe this is God telling me to keep fighting, and that, we're on one of those relationships where, it got really rocky, but we made it happen. Or, maybe this is God just, helping me through something. I questioned it a lot. I didn't know. That free will kind of messed with me quite a bit. Um, so that's something I kind of had to figure out. But my gut, my mom has something in her house that says prayer is our way of talking to God, and intuition is God's way of talking to us. And I
Wait, say that one
really
more time. Say it one more time.
Prayer is our way of talking to God,
Hmm.
and intuition is God's way of talking to us.
Love it.
And I think of that every time, like I question, like, okay, is this God? Is this not God? Because I definitely thought of that when I was getting married. Is, okay, is this God? Is this, because we got married really fast. And so I definitely thought that. But that questioning of God, or, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? But knowing to put my value and see where that gentleman is in the moment. Is he investing in it? Is he not? Is what I need to look at, instead of hoping for the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Put myself in there. Like, you deserve to be loved and cared for
you do.
just as much as you're doing for him. So,
Absolutely. Yes, you do. And
mhm.
I know I am not that same girl before who was
Right.
traumatized, who felt like, something was wrong with me. I am so
Hmm.
different.
Yeah.
Um, that now it's like, no, you gotta love me because I'm the bomb, diggity bomb,
Right.
bomb, bomb, bomb. No.
It took me a lot to get here, man.
Yes.
You don't even know. So
Yeah.
I'm not going back
I
to that.
offer, I'm gonna be committed. That's why I'm very careful,
Mhm.
because I know me. I'm gonna be committed. I'm gonna have your back.
Right.
I'll argue,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna be there. So
Right.
I'm not selling myself short, because I
Mhm.
know me and I know what I offer. And usually
Mhm.
when even friendships, when I leave a friendship, or when I leave a relationship, they usually want me back. Somebody,
Mhm.
Dr. Prophet Todd Hall said, when your future, when your past wants you back, your future is looking bright. Something like that.
Yes. Ooh. Now, have you found that with your standards, and I'm not gonna settle for less, that your confidence intimidates some men?
Or manipulative people would try to say, "Oh, you think you all that?" Because I've even had
Yeah.
people say, like, "You're too picky," and I'm thinking, I'm supposed to be picky with somebody I married. Like,
Mhm.
it's so crazy how we try to make people, because marriage is. It even says in the vows, we should not take marriage lightly.
Right.
It suggests that, have you really thought about this? Do you realize it's for
Yep.
better or worse? So, and if anybody has any objective, let them speak now, forever hold their peace. It's a
Mhm.
reason why they say all of that, because the vows are supposed to make sure that you think about this.
Mhm.
And you think about this too. We don't go and cram our feet in any old pair of cheap shoes.
True.
But
True.
we'll cram any man into our lives just to have a
Mhm.
man. Because most of us, you can call me bougie all day, but you are kind of bougie too, because you won't wear, oh, I gotta wear, Nikes. I'm not gonna wear them cheap Payless shoes. That's
Yep.
bougie. That means that you have a
Mhm.
certain preference.
Yep.
So when it comes to men, we need to be a little bougie.
Yeah. We deserve it. And you
Yes.
don't want to go through that wasted time, or ignore those red flags.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm believing them. As soon as I see them, I call them out. And if there's not a real good explanation, or it's consistent, okay, I know.
Yeah. And
My
when I say
intuition.
When I say bougie, I don't mean unreasonable, because that
Oh yeah, no, I
unreasonable,
get you.
yeah, I just mean like we need to be
Yeah.
selective and say, I'm looking for this specific type of man. And honestly, I
Mhm.
believe a woman, we should be looking for the heart of a man. Not
Correct.
necessarily like how he looks. Like I do have
Mhm.
my preference because I do like chocolate men. I do. I actually love
Mhm.
chocolate skin in general. So even on women, I think it's
Mhm.
beautiful when it's smooth and the
Mhm.
melanin. Um, but I told God it doesn't matter as long as we are equally yoked. And so
Mhm.
I've let that go. Even age, I had an issue with, well, he has to be
Mhm.
around my age. He can't be more than 1 year older or more than
Mhm.
1 year younger. I had all of this stuff, and God was like, "Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah.
need to cross that off."
That's why I
Especially,
always dated older. Absolutely.
yeah, but honestly, I've encountered guys my age trying to do it the way I do it, and they're
Mhm.
so immature. Like,
Yes, that's why I always date older. Always.
but
I
even
can't.
older ones.
True. Facts.
Because I think we have a choice to keep growing. Like when we're
Yeah.
younger, our parents make us go to elementary school, so we got to learn some stuff.
Yeah.
Our parents make us go to middle school, we got to learn. Our parents make us go to high school. So you're gonna learn even if you're just sitting in class. But when
Right.
we get older and start making our own choices, we don't
Mhm.
have to learn. So
Yeah.
there's people young. So I get it. At 25, you usually start. You kind of know, or you start to know, like, okay, are you maturing? Because there's some
Mhm.
people I know who are 65 who still have the mind of a
Oh yeah.
25-year-old. So it's God does not work the way the world works, where we're pairing each other with. He work spiritually mature,
Yeah.
spiritual maturity. So I have just really rendered him that full thing over. As long as he is searching for
Mhm.
God and he knows he needs God and he's very affectionate, I'm like, okay, God, just let me see him, and let him see
Right.
me so we can choose each other. So
Absolutely. No, I could not agree more. Absolutely. And I want to know, is this person like educating themselves, personal development, like always trying to be a better person? Oh, they always say you're always a student. I always love learning new things because not that I want to be an expert, but I want to have some knowledge.
yeah.
And so a man who doesn't further education, or I mean, not that we need to have the same interests, but you want to have someone who's interested in you and that they're happy for whatever you're interested in. You know what I mean? Like where you can talk about what you're excited about and not them just be like, okay, I don't care, boring, blah, blah. You want them to care because you care. I guess if that makes
You're saying you want someone interesting.
sense. Right.
So we
With
can
some depth.
dialogue. Yes,
With
it's
some depth. Not,
like
oh, yeah.
to come home, because they don't. It's not even that you have to be learning what I'm learning. Can you learn something so you can say, "Hey, babe, I learned this today." You know what?
Right.
So like
Teach
we
me
can share
something.
some
Come
stuff.
on. Yes. Educate me. I want to learn. I want to learn from you.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
I,
want to
I
learn from each
definitely
other.
want, yeah, I definitely want somebody that can teach me something, because I always felt
Yeah.
like I've been the one carrying everything, and I just want another adult in the house. Like that really,
Yeah.
it's so crazy, but that's really kind of like my desire. I just want another a mature adult in the house.
Yeah. I want someone I can take some stuff off my shoulders and we can share. And you could do the
Absolutely.
same, put it on my shoulders. We could share that stuff and work
It's
together.
not unreasonable. What we're asking for
Right.
is reasonable.
Yeah. Work together, educate each other together, grow and learn together. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, well, this has been good. I want to kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to conclude with these two thoughts. Like, for one, with forcing someone to love us, because in this chapter,
Hmm.
Mark is saying he doesn't want her, and we'll see. Shell is still trying to force it,
Hmm.
but forcing someone to love you is not love. It's actually, if they do stay with you, it's out of fear or
Yep.
something, or, they just feel obligated. And that's not really what we want.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know about you,
Absolutely.
but I don't want anybody
Mm-mm.
just,
I want someone to love me, spoil me so I can spoil them. I want someone to really love me. Absolutely.
yeah, I don't want pity. That's not like
Right. Oh,
idea.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, when somebody said they don't want us, yeah, it does sting because, naturally we don't like it. But when we force it, we only prolong the
The
hurt,
hurt.
because usually
Yeah.
people don't change their mind about us. And
Mhm.
if they're staying, you best believe they're staying is going to take more from you. They're going to use you, so that's the reality. And then at the end, you're still going to find out they don't want you, and you've given up way too much more than you needed to, when you could have just took the L and just moved on.
Sounds like situationships. Shoot. A
Yeah.
whole other different topic.
Kind of the same, but yes, yes. Um, and then two, or dealing with the idea of taking somebody's man. You can't expect it to turn out good when you didn't get it the right way. I mean, I don't care what you say. And you sound, like I said, sometimes it seems like, oh, you're getting away with it because things may be going good for a while, but trust you me, life will change. And that thing will turn on you like a bad wig in the rain. And the world says it says it this way: karma has no menu, that you get served what you deserved.
Ooh, I like that.
And the world just said, I mean, the Bible tells us that you reap what you sow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you do get that back, and usually it comes back worse because you're
Yes.
sowing seed and you don't know how many of those plants is gonna come up.
Yep.
Um, but do know, it's temporary. It will change on you, and you will have to pay. You have to pay the price for whatever the enemy has offered you, that delusional uh, idea that this is going to be perfect, and you will have to pay the Pied Piper eventually. Hey, Rock family. Sometimes certain topics can trigger old emotions. So if at any point during this head trauma discussion season you feel you need to talk to someone, please do. And for some reason, if you do not have access to a trusted source, feel free to check out some of our recommendations by visiting www.rockwithmenow.com. Once at the homepage, select the Rock Challenges tab, and then filter through the list available to see what may possibly suit you. Hope you enjoyed today's show. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you.